Okay. Number one, find the midpoint. Who remembers how we find the midpoint? How do we find midpoint?
X plus X.
What? I heard somebody say something.
X plus X over 2.
Yep, we find the average, we add them and divide by 2. So it looks like our midpoint is going to be 5/2, so 1 plus 4, right? Divided by 2, 5/2. And then 3 plus -5, which is -2 divided by 2, -1. There's your midpoint. Alright, so one more time. How do we find midpoint? We add the x's, divide by 2, add the y's, divide by 2. Tomorrow you will have the baby calculators. You always have those. These are always available to you if you need it. I mean, ideally you can add those things together, but if you can't, you can do it on the time. Alright, what does this mean? You need to know what that means. Distance. That's the distance from A to B. And distance is this, right? So here we go. What do I do? What math do I do?
X1 minus X2
So
squared.
subtract the x's. You're right, that's exactly right. I'm gonna subtract my x's. So 1 minus 4, and then I gotta square that. And then I'll subtract my y's. 3 minus -5, and square that. And then I add those together, right? And square root the whole shebang. So here we go. What is 1 minus 4? Squared is 9. Always positive. Always positive when you square. What's 3 minus -5? 8. Squared. Add them together, we get the square root of 73, which does not break down. So some of you will get a quiz like that where it doesn't break down. Some of you will get a quiz where maybe it will break down. Remember, if it does break down, you have to break it down. So 75 is 5 times 15. 15 is 5 times 3. Notice you have 2 5s. So out comes 5 and in stays 3. But you only do that if you have 2 of the same factor. Okay? Alright. Write as an interval. So remember, what that means is an interval is the brackets or parentheses thing. That's an interval. So you have open dotted 5 shaded this way. So what is your interval going to look like?
Infinity for comma 5.
Negative infinity, comma 5. Now, when you write an interval, you gotta have 2 numbers. You gotta have 2 numbers in here. This picture doesn't have 2 numbers. It has only 1 number, but it's going all the way this way, and we know out here is negative infinity, right? So negative infinity, 5, in that order. Okay? Sketch the interval. Now you have the interval 5 comma 6, and we have to sketch that on the number line. So that's easy. What do we do?
Float in circles,
We're gonna
dot.
have dots at 5 and 6. There are my 2 numbers, 5 and 6. Since that's a bracket, this one will be
Float in.
colored in, and then I shade everything in between. I always shade in between the numbers. by the way, is always open. Always open with an infinity. Okay, now we're gonna simplify. Alright, let's just do one at a time. So we got 3 over 9. Please don't get fancy. You have 3 over 9. That's a fraction. What happens with 3 over 9? It reduces to 1/3. Now what happens with your x's? X to the 4th over x to the 2nd, which is x to the 2nd. Should I change one right here? Okay. It's right here. Thank you. Okay. So I got x to the 2nd on top because I have 4 x's over 2 x's. Right, now what about the y's? They're a little bit trickier. Those are negative. They are gonna come down, but there's already 10 of them down there. So if you already had 10 and you bring down 3 more, now you're gonna have 13. And we're done. That's it. Evaluate. Now, don't get carried away. Just slow down. Let's do this part first, right here. What is that blue part for? We'll do the inside, so it'll be 3 minus 4. What's 3 minus 4? -1, but it's inside absolute value, so the blue part is gonna be 1. Would everyone agree with that? Right, now I'm gonna do the pink part. What is the absolute value of -5? 5. Now, I'm gonna subtract those. So what is 1 minus 5? -4. And that's the answer. Don't make it hard. That is easy. You got that. And then number 5 says, here's the equation of a circle in standard form. What is its center? Remember the rule now. Last 4 comma -1. Because when we write our center, we use the opposite. So it's +4, -1, 4 comma -1. And then what will the radius be? Not 4. How'd you get 4?
Square root.
Yeah, and that's right. You want to square root, but the square root of 18 is 4. Square root of 16 is 4. So we're going to do the square root of 18, which, just like we talked about before, if that breaks down. So if we'd have gotten the square root of 16, we would say 4. If we got the square root of 17, we would say square root of 17. But 18 we have to simplify, because 18 is 2 times 9, and 9 is 3 times 3. So what's our rule for reducing a radical? If you have 2 out, so 3 is coming out, and the 2 is staying in. Now, if you write square root 18, you're going to get partial credit, because it is a square root of 18. But if you want full credit, you're going to reduce that. Okay? So, one more time. What is on tomorrow's quiz? This. Right? Nothing else. We talked about a lot of other stuff, but only this is on tomorrow's quiz. So study. Watch the video again. Do it again. You can do it. All right, pack that away. And let's look at our list. Alright. According to my records, we are ready for, on page 3E. Alright, so here we go. Let's look at 3E, the solving equation. Now, it is quite a large equation. Okay. Alright, what do you think? Distribute here and here, so we're gonna have 15Z minus 9 minus 8Z, be careful, minus 4. Now what? Combine like terms over here. So 15 minus 8 is 7, minus 13, okay. Now we start moving things around, get the z's by themselves. So I'm gonna subtract that 5z. So I have 2z minus 13 equals negative 2. Add 13. Come on, you know how to do this. And divide by 2. So my answer is 11 halves, or if you're doing that on the calculator, it will say 5.5. Doesn't matter. Is that okay? Looked big, but it wasn't so bad. Alright, let's look at F. F has a fraction in it. What could we do? What could we do to get rid of that fraction? What really easy, quick stuff could we do to get rid of that?
But, 3 under everything.
You could put 3 under everything, okay, we can do that. Okay, so if I'm gonna put 3, I'm gonna put 3 under everything, then I'm gonna have to multiply this one by 3, and this one by 3. Don't just go putting a 3 in the bottom, you have to also put 1 in the top, right? So now, once I got everything over 3, I can forget the 3's and look at just this part right here. So 6x minus 12 equals 4x minus 5. And then I just do what I did over here, so I'll do 4x. Add my 12. So I got 7 halves for that one as my answer. What about you? Anybody else get 7 halves? Good? Alright, one more equation. Looks like a big one. What are we gonna do with the last problem here? What are we gonna do with problem G?
Find the GCF.
You said GCF, I don't think that's what you meant. Did you mean a common denominator?
Yeah.
So we're gonna find a common denominator. And what is our common denominator for 3 and 4 and 2? 12. Now, there are other denominators you could use. For example, you could use 24 if you wanted to. 12 is the smallest option, so I'll use 12. But you could use other numbers. I'll use 12. Okay. left? 4t minus 4 plus what? 3t plus 15 equals 6. And now it's like the other ones we did, so 7t plus 11. I combined my t's, combined my numbers. Now subtract 11. And I got negative 5/7. That's my answer. Okay, how do we feel about that? Okay with that? All right, number 4, here we go. Now we're gonna solve, but this time it's a less than instead of an equation, it's an inequality. That doesn't really change anything we do. So what do you wanna do first? We're solving this inequality. What do you wanna do first? Just like an equation. So you got Kyle?
Move the numbers.
Move the numbers. So we wanna have, which one do you wanna move?
Plus 1.
Plus 1 on both sides? Now, since he chose to do that, it's perfectly okay. Probably now you're gonna move this x, right? Just like an equation, start moving things around so that all the x's are together and the other things are together. Now here's where you have to be on your toes. Obviously, we're gonna have to divide by -2. And what's our rule? In an inequality, if I divide by a negative, yep, so x is greater than or equal to -2. Now we are in pre-calculus, so we're gonna write our answer the way calculus students do, and that is with an interval. So this is a quiz question. Write this as an interval. Okay? So remember what's an interval mean? Parentheses and brackets, right? So if it helps you, think about what that looks like. If you graph that on the number line, isn't this what it looks like? So the two numbers are -2 and what's the number out here? Positive infinity. So you have -2 comma positive infinity. You gonna use brackets or parentheses? Actually, you're gonna use one of each because you're gonna bracket on the -2 because isn't that closed? Why is it closed? Because that's an equal to. And then infinity is always open. Now, obviously, if you write this, you're gonna get most of the credit. If you want total A plus full credit, you're gonna write your answer as an interval. We're gonna have to do that. Because we're grown-ups now. All right, here we go. Now, letter B. You might at first be a little confused by B, but you don't need to be. In one step, we're gonna have our answer. Anybody take a guess or know what that one step is? Last? Couldn't hear you, what? Subtract 6 from everything. So we're going to subtract 6 all the way across the problem. Do you see that this problem is really 3 parts? You've got this side, left side, got the middle, and you got the right side. You can move stuff around, but it's gotta go all three parts. So we're gonna subtract that 6 from everything. Alright, and what are we gonna be left with? On the middle, we're just gonna be left with an X. Over here, we'll have -4, and here we'll have 3. And there's our answer. We're gonna write it as an interval in a minute, but that's your answer.
Do you always use the middle number?
You always are trying to get X by itself. So I need to get rid of that 6. It's just like solving. You want X equals, in this case now, X is by itself. So what interval would that be? I have a -4 and I have a 3. So there are my numbers. Brackets or parentheses. Bracket over here and parentheses there. Right? This problem is not on the quiz, but you will, on the quiz tomorrow, have to take something that looks like this and write it as an interval. Looks like this, write it as an interval. Alright. Do I have a volunteer or para-volunteer who would come up and give problem C a try? This is not a hard one. It's got a few steps. I think we can do it. Do I have anybody who's willing to give that a shot? Ah, thank you, my friend. You want to go solo or you want? I was good. I love that comment. And then what should the rest of you be doing while he's up there working on that? You're doing it. You're working with him so that we can check his answer and decide if he's right or not. If we get any farther, we can have a little thing there, so take a look at it, see if we can figure that out. Your first step is fine. Second step. No, that part's right, but this was wrong. So what's 4 and 5? And then what's -4? Positive 5. Yeah, now you're take a look at what he did. He even wrote his answer as an interval, which is what he needs to do. Thank you very much. Let's talk about it. See if we agree or not. How does this distributive work? Did he do okay in step 1? And then he collected like terms. How does that step look? So he starts moving things around, and he ended up with this right here. This is what he ended up with. Now, I think that's right. Would you? I think that's okay. Now, it's backwards for the way my brain works. That's backwards. I'm like Mrs. Field. She always tells her students, make X first, put X first. So I'm going to put X first. I'm going to turn this around, in other words. Now what sign, if I'm turning that around, if I'm putting X first, what sign is going to go in there? Less than. Kids, if you're turning the problem around, you're turning the sign around. Does that that make sense to you? This says 5 is bigger than X. That means X is less than 5. Now, that's gonna change. This is correct. There's nothing wrong with that. That's okay. But when I write it as an interval, it helps me to have that X first because I have an open dot of 5, but which way am I actually shaded?
Left.
Left. And that's negative infinity. So my interval is negative infinity to 5. That is really easy to mess up. So I'm going to give you the same advice Mrs. Field gives you. Get that X first. Then it makes more sense in terms of the picture, and then it makes more sense in terms of the interval. Okay? All right, thank you very much, Braden. All right, let's look at D. What do you want to do with D? Multiply by 5. Now, am I going to switch the sign? No. Because I only switch the sign if I'm multiplying by a negative. Am I multiplying by a negative? No. I'm multiplying by 5, and I happen to get a negative over here, but I'm not multiplying by a negative, so I'm not switching the sign. So I'll add 2 and divide by 3. And again, I'm not switching the sign. I divided by 3. Alright, write it as an interval. Write that as an interval. Let's see if we can get it right. Always graph it if it helps. You don't have to. If it helps you to graph it, graph it. Emma, what do you think? -1 to infinity. Did you have parentheses on both? Yep. Is she right? All right, here we go. Big time fractions, problem E. Do I have a volunteer or team of volunteers to give this one a shot? Not be chicken. There we go. That's great people coming up. Mr. Wells, what are you doing back there? How come I don't see a pencil moving on the paper? Let's go. You two, are you done already? Okay. Then coach him up. Don't let him just sit there and do nothing. Oh wow, that didn't take them long. All right. Well, as you said, you already did it. You know what you got?
Yep.
It is. All right, let's take a look at it. Everybody seemed to get this answer. Let's see if they're right. They even wrote it twice. Okay, so they decided that they were going to get a common denominator. And the common denominator, remember, this is also a fraction. So the common denominator is 6. That has a 2. It needs a 3. There it is. This one has a 3. It needs a 2. This one has a 1, so it needs a 6, right? Now all of the denominators are 6, 6, 6. Go on. 9 minus 3x plus 10 minus 4 less than negative 6. How's that work? That's up above there. So they collected like terms. I've got 7x plus 5. Subtracted a 5 and divided. I think they're right. Anybody have a question about that? You can do that. The problem looks scary, but you can do it. This next one is kind of wild. There is a lot going on in this problem. I think it's easiest to distribute first. We can get rid of the fractions first, but I'm afraid you'll do that wrong, because of all the parentheses and stuff. So I'm just gonna go ahead and distribute first. So I'm gonna have 1/2 x plus 3/2. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? Plus 2x minus 8. 1/3 x minus 1, because what's 1/3 times 3? 1. Now look at all the fractions. 2, 2, and 3. So the common denominator is 6. Now, these are also fractions. So all of the denominators have to be 6. So I have to multiply this one by 3, this one by 3, this one by 6, and 6, and 2, and 6. Remember, your goal, make every denominator 6. So multiply by whatever you need to get 6. So far so good? Alright, so we're done. Now remember, I'm not worried about the denominators anymore. So my numerator, I'm gonna have 3x, 3 times 1 times x, 3x, plus 9, plus 12x, minus 48, less than 2x minus 6. Take a second and digest that. I know it's a lot going on. Is that okay? All right, let's collect by terms. 15x minus 48, what is that? 39. interval. What interval did you come up with? Negative 50. All right, well, here's the happy news. P3 is due on Friday. All right, so P3 will be due on Friday. And now we're in start P2. Okay, so that big, what's tomorrow? Easy due. We also have some homework due tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then P3 is due on Friday, and then we're gonna start P4. All right, so here we go. I have 2 points. Okay, now pay attention to the directions. On tomorrow's quiz, you're going to have 2 points. And the directions on tomorrow's quiz are going to say, find AB and find the midpoint. This is tomorrow's quiz. This is not what it says right here. Alright? So don't write this down. Let's just quickly go through this as one more little review before tomorrow. I'm going to use those points and I'm going to find AB. Don't write this down because it's not what the directions say. How do I do that? What do I do? I got a big radical, negative 1, and I'm going to subtract my x's.
Plus 2 minus 8.
Yep.
Squared.
So negative 1 minus 6, watch it. Negative 7 squared, 49. 2 minus 8, negative 6 squared, 36. Add them together, I think that's 85. Now I have to check, does that break down? I don't know, but I know 5 goes into 85, so it's 5 times something. You got a calculator.
17.
I don't, 17. It doesn't break down, because remember, if you're gonna break it down, you have to have 2 of something. I have 1 5 and 1 17. Okay, it doesn't break down, the answer is square root of 85. Okay, we're not writing this down, this is not what we're doing on the notes, this is practice. What's that? Okay, midpoint AB. Midpoint AB.
Negative 1 plus 6.
So negative 1 plus 6 divided by 2, and 2 plus 8 divided by 2. Right? So my answer would be 5 halves and 5. That's tomorrow's quiz. That's what we're doing tomorrow. Today we're doing something different. Today we are finding the
That was not correct. I apologize. That was not correct. Everybody will be on the first grade.
That reminds me. Remember when we had music? We said music. So that would have been music playing or something. So this has been 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I don't remember exactly. I was in this room, so it was sometime after COVID. The music came on. I just stopped and waited for it to stop. We knew it was wrong, so just like today, we just waited for it to stop. Went on with class, finished up, posted the video, all great. I get this notice from YouTube. Copyright violation. It was like a legal document. Like it looked really official. It was really official, and they're like, you have a copyright infringement. We are not pressing charges, we have removed the item. Should this happen again, we'll press charges. And I'm like, I had no idea. What are you talking about? Copyright violation. I'm standing up here blabbing away doing math. What in the world? Well, it was that song. That song showed up in the video, and somebody must really pay close attention because it was about, 30 seconds of song. So anyway, time goes on, everything's fine. It happened again, and I forgot. I posted it. Got a thing telling me they were banning me from YouTube if it never happened again. Like, oh my gosh. So then, finally, after that, I had Stan help me cut that part out before I posted it. But anyway, I almost got thrown in YouTube jail. Okay, I'm gonna find slope. Slope is M, we use the letter M to define slope, or to express slope. How do you find it? Given 2 points, how do you find slope? That's exactly what it is. She says y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. Right? So for us, if this is point 1 and this is point 2, which it doesn't matter which one's which. One of them's point 1, one of them's point 2. So we're going to subtract our y's. Y's go on top. When you do slope, y is on top. Just like in the coordinate axis system, y is on top. And then 6 minus 8. Did you get 6/7 as your slope? Okay. Now I want to show you something. What if I subtracted the other way? What if I did 2 minus 8 and negative 1 minus 6? Do I get the same answer? I get negative 6 over negative 7. Is that the same as I got before?
It's 6 over 7.
Yeah. So the only thing you gotta remember is, I don't care, it doesn't matter which way you subtract, but you have to subtract both letters the same way. So if you do 2 minus 8, you gotta do negative 1 minus 6. Okay? Alright. Now you do the next one. Find the slope of the line. I got negative 1.
That's what I got.
Good. We all got negative 1. Good. Okay, now we're gonna see who's paying attention today. Now we're gonna do another slope problem, but here's the deal. Here are my 2 points. X comma 6 and 4 comma 5. Those are my 2 points. I also know that the slope is 3/4. So what's your job? Your job is to find x, right? Figure out what x has to be. So do you have any idea about that? I heard something, but I couldn't hear what it was. Kind of. This problem deals with slope, right? What's our slope formula? How do we find slope again? How do we calculate slope? Y minus y. So let's take 5 minus 6. That's y minus y. Over 4 minus x. Isn't that how we find slope? So y minus y over x minus x should equal the slope. I know the slope is 3/4. So when I do y minus y over x minus x, I should get 3/4. What's 5 minus 6? Negative 1. How do I solve that?
Cross multiply.
Cross multiply, very good, cross multiply. So when we cross multiply, negative 4 equals 12 minus 3x. So negative 16 equals negative 3x. And it looks like x is negative 16 thirds. Alright, we're gonna do one more. We'll be done for the day. Alright, one more. Same exact kind of problem. So we're gonna do it exactly the same way. So who was paying attention? Set up our slope formula. So y minus y. So y minus negative 2 over 1 minus 3. That's my slope. And what is that supposed to equal? Negative 2/3. So do y minus y minus negative 2, x minus x. That's slope. Now I'm going to go ahead and figure that out. So y plus 2 over negative 2. Just doing that arithmetic right there. Now what do? Cross multiply. So 3y plus 6 equals 4. Now you guys, the negative in a fraction either goes with the top number or the bottom number, but not both. So I have this one on top and I have this one on the bottom. So when I multiplied, I got positive. But you could move the negative, but there's only one negative, it's either here or here. All right, so let's subtract 6. I got negative 2/3 for my y value. Whew, that's a lot. Okay, I'll pause there, and we will pick up here tomorrow after our quiz. So we'll take our quiz first.